Eli Grant slowly opened his eyes to a light that was neither harsh nor dim, a soft glow that seemed to hum around him. His head throbbed, and every movement sent a ripple of pain across his body. The last thing he remembered was the blare of alarms, a burst of white light, and the screech of metal tearing apart. Now he lay on a strange bed, surrounded by smooth walls of a color he had never seen before. Machines hummed quietly, and tubes and wires ran across the floor, pulsing with gentle lights. He tried to move, but his body protested. The pain was sharp, and his limbs felt weak, as if they belonged to someone else. A soft voice broke the silence. "You are awake. You are a heed." Eli froze. He turned his head slowly, his eyes falling on a figure standing beside the bed. At first, he thought it was human, but then he noticed the subtle differences. The being's skin was pale and slightly translucent, with veins that glowed faintly beneath the surface. Her eyes were large, almond-shaped, and luminous, reflecting light in a way that made him feel both alarmed and strangely calm. She wore a form-fitting outfit of soft, smooth material, completely unlike anything he had seen.
"Where am I?"
he croaked, his throat dry. His voice sounded foreign even to himself.
"You are safe," she replied.
Her tone was calm, gentle, patient. "My name is Sarah. I am here to help you." Eli tried to sit up. A wave of dizziness washed over him, and he fell back onto the bed. Pain shot through his arms and chest. Sarah immediately reached out, her hands hovering just above his shoulders, not touching, but radiating reassurance.
"Do not struggle. You have been through trauma."
"You need rest," she said softly. Eli's mind raced. Trauma! He remembered the battle, his ship, the patrols, the sudden ambush. His crew. Were they alive? Were they dead? The memories came in fragments, a flash of red alarms, the sound of metal, twisting, screams. His stomach churned.
"You spoke in your sleep," Sarah continued. "You said words."
Strange words. Eli frowned. I don't remember. Words of hope, courage. "Names of your home," she said. "I was curious." "You are different from others who come here. You do not panic. You do not give in to fear. You speak of survival, even in your dreams." Eli tried to focus on her face. Her eyes were wide with curiosity, unjudging, almost childlike in their intensity. He felt a flicker of calm in the midst of his confusion. Even though he was surrounded by beings he did not understand, he was alive. That alone was a victory. He tried to move his fingers, then his toes, testing his strength. Every small motion was painful, but he noticed that he could still move. He focused on his breathing, slow and steady. He remembered something important. He had survived before. He could survive again. Sarah watched silently, noting his determination. She had treated many beings before, but humans were unique. Their minds were unpredictable. Their emotions were complex. Their courage often outweighed their logic. Eli's survival was remarkable, and his spirit unusual. "Do you know where you are?" she asked, tilting her head slightly. Eli shook his head. "No, I remember my ship, alarms, an attack," his words faltered, the memory slipping away like smoke through his fingers. "You were caught in a Scifi patrol," Sarah said softly. "Most humans do not survive such encounters. Your body was damaged, but your mind remains intact." Scifi. He had heard the name in passing during briefings about alien civilizations, known for their discipline, their logic, their strength. Few humans had ever encountered them and lived to tell the story. And here he was, alive, in their care, speaking to one of their own. Fear and curiosity warred within him. "Why? Why are you helping me?" he asked. Sarah paused. Her gaze lingered on him, thoughtful. "You are not like the others. Your mind—"
Your courage, it is intriguing. I want to understand you.
"To see what makes you human." Ellie tried to rise again, testing the boundaries of his strength. Pain shot through his chest, and he groaned. Sarah immediately moved closer, her hands guiding him back onto the bed. "You must not rush," she said. "Your body needs time. But your mind, it is strong. It is ready to learn, to adapt." He studied her. She was not threatening. There was no malice in her tone, only curiosity and a quiet determination. Slowly, Eli allowed himself to relax, at least slightly. He realized that his survival depended on understanding his new reality, not fighting against it blindly.
Sarah helped him sit up, supporting him with gentle guidance.
He noticed the room more closely now. Panels of softly glowing light, smooth surfaces without sharp edges, machines that seemed alive, pulsing gently as if breathing. The room smelled faintly of something sweet and metallic, unfamiliar, but not unpleasant.
You speak in your sleep, Sarah said again, her voice soft, almost musical. You said, I will survive for them. Who are them?
His crew, his friends, his family, on Earth. He could not be sure if any had survived. The thought tightened his chest, a painful ache of longing and fear. I don't know, he admitted. I wanted to live, to come back. To warn them. Sarah nodded slowly. Humans are curious. You think of others, even when facing death. You are resilient, more than I expected. For the first time since he awoke, Eli allowed himself a small smile, despite the pain. Resilience, that was human. That was what he had survived on before. And he would survive now. Time passed. Sarah guided him through basic exercises to test his strength. Each movement was cautious, deliberate. But Eli noticed that his body was responding. He could stand briefly with her support, and then walk a few steps. Every motion was a small victory, a proof of his determination. As he moved, he noticed details that fascinated him. The way Sarah's fingers glowed faintly at the tips, the subtle changes in the pulsing lights around the room as he passed, the quiet efficiency of the machines. Everything was alien, yet function, beautiful in its logic. Eli's thoughts drifted back to the attack. The Zirathi patrols, the sudden assault, the screams, the blinding lights. How had he survived? His ship was in pieces, and he had been thrown across space to this unknown world. He shook his head, trying to dispel the dizziness. One thing was certain. He could not stay here forever. He had to understand this place, and he had to survive, not just for himself, but for the humans out there, somewhere, who might need his warning. Sarah noticed his gaze lingering on the walls and devices. You are curious, she observed. You want to understand. Humans always want to know, even in danger.
I need to know what happened.
How I survived. Why I am here.
You will learn, Sarah replied.
But first, you must heal. The body must recover before the mind can understand fully. As the hours passed, Ellie became aware of small details he had not noticed before. The soft hum of the floor, the subtle glow of panels that shifted as he moved, the faint scent that seemed to change slightly when he breathed. Everything was alive in its own way, yet nothing threatened him. Night, or what passed for night here, fell. The lights dimmed slightly, casting a gentle, soothing glow. Eli lay back on the bed, exhaustion pressing down on him. Sarah remained nearby, monitoring his vitals with a calm attentiveness that made him feel safe. He drifted into sleep again, but this time His dreams were vivid and strange. He relived the moments aboard his ship. Alarms blaring, flashes of fire and light, the desperate faces of his crew. But in the dream, he also spoke. His words were clear, urgent, full of hope and determination. Warn them. Protect them. He awoke with a start, gasping. Sarah was there, her eyes filled with quiet curiosity.
You spoke again, she said gently. You speak of courage even in dreams.
You are a remarkable human. Ellie blinked, trying to focus. I don't know why.
I have to survive. I have to get back to help.
This is why you are different.
Humans do not give up. Even when facing odds they cannot predict, they persist. That is something rare in the universe. Eli looked at her, a strange mix of fear, curiosity, and respect in his eyes. He realized that though he was far from home, surrounded by beings he barely understood, he was alive, and his mind was clear. He would learn, he would adapt, and he would survive. As he lay back, exhaustion taking over again, he allowed himself a thought. Maybe survival was not just about escaping danger. Maybe it was also about understanding, about connecting, even with those who seemed completely alien. Sarah was proof of that. She had saved him, cared for him, and even shown curiosity about his thoughts. Eli closed his eyes, feeling the pulse of the room, the gentle hum of machines, the quiet presence of the alien nurse. He thought of his crew, his planet, and the vast unknown stretching beyond the walls of this chamber. One thing was certain. He had awakened. And awakening meant opportunity. He would not waste it. He drifted into sleep once more, his mind sharpening, his body healing, and a quiet determination settling in his chest. The human spirit, fragile yet unyielding, had survived another test. And the universe had not yet seen the full measure of what Eli Grant could endure. The soft voice echoed in his thoughts as he slept, a lullaby of curiosity and reassurance. You spoke in your sleep, and I am listening. Ellie awoke once more in the soft glow of the alien chamber. The pain in his body had lessened, replaced by a dull ache that reminded him he was still alive, still human. His mind was clearer now, sharper, and he found himself studying Sarah as she moved quietly around the room, adjusting monitors and examining him with precise movements. Her calm presence was a stark contrast to the chaos he had survived.
You are stronger than I expected, Sarah said, her luminous eyes focused on him. Your body is healing faster than usual.
Your mind remains alert. This is unusual for humans after a Zyrathi encounter. Eli flexed his fingers slowly, testing their strength. I guess I have to be. I survived for a reason. I have to understand everything. Why I am here.
What the Zyrathi want? How to warn my fleet?
Sarah tilted her head slightly, intrigued by the determination in his voice. You are focused on survival, yet your thoughts reach beyond yourself. Most beings only think of their own safety. You think of others.
It is remarkable. Eli's chest rose with a mix of pride and exhaustion.
Humans, we survive, even when the odds are against us.
Even when everything seems lost, we keep going. That is what we do. Sarah studied him closely. She had observed many creatures, many species, but humans were unpredictable, even in their weakness. Their emotions were intense, their instincts sharp, their persistence astounding. Eli was a perfect example. Though he was injured, trapped, and surrounded by aliens who could have killed him, he was alert, thinking, planning. That resilience fascinated her. Tell me, Sarah said softly, about your ship, about the attack.
What happened before you came here?
Ellie closed his eyes briefly, forcing his mind to sift through the fragments of memory, the blinding lights, the alarms, the sudden collision with another vessel, and the screaming of his crew.
We were patrolling near the border of the Zyrathi sector.
I thought we were safe. Then they appeared. Fast. Too fast. We tried to fight, but his voice faltered. The memories were vivid, almost unbearable, yet they shaped him. He had survived while others had not. Sarah nodded. It was a dangerous encounter. Your survival is unlikely. Most humans captured by the Zyrathi do not live through it. Eli's gaze hardened. Then I was lucky. Or I was meant to survive. There's a reason I'm here. I need to figure it out.
I need to warn my people.
The alien nurse approached, placing her hands lightly near his shoulders, not touching, but close enough for him to feel her presence. Humans think in ways we do not. You plan, you adapt, you persist. You take risks that we cannot comprehend. Your species has a strength beyond physical power. It is in your mind, your heart, your will.
Maybe, but I also know fear.
I know pain. I know loss. And I know what it feels like to be alone, surrounded by beings I don't understand. Yet I still choose to survive. That is human. Sarah's eyes widened slightly. The concept of choosing to survive, despite the odds, was foreign to the Zyrathi. They were logical, efficient, and disciplined. They did not face survival in the same way. Eli's explanation, his stubbornness and hope, made her curious in a way that transcended her duty as a healer. Over the next hours, Sarah guided him through gentle movements, testing his strength. Eli discovered muscles he had not thought he could control, and his body responded to the small exercises. Every movement was a victory, a confirmation that his willpower was stronger than the injuries that threatened to overwhelm him.
You move faster than expected, Sarah observed.
Most humans in your condition would struggle to sit without support.
Eli leaned back, catching his breath. We are not easily broken. We adapt. We endure. She studied him silently, her curiosity growing. She wanted to understand more about this strange species that could survive where others could not. Tell me more, she said softly. About your crew, your home, your people. Why do you endure so much? Eli thought of the earth, of the human colonies, the families waiting, the friends he had lost and those he still hoped to see.
We endure because we care, because we hope.
Because we want to protect what we love, even if it is far away, even if it is impossible. That is why humans survive.
Dialogue Reb. Then bubble and conscious. The tale of the world. Obey. Dies, calms, and motions.
Humans were unpredictable in ways that could not be calculated or controlled. They were dangerous and remarkable. Night, or the alien equivalent, fell, and the soft light in the chamber dimmed, creating an almost serene atmosphere. Eli lay back, exhausted, yet alert. He could hear the gentle hum of the machines, the subtle movements of Sarah as she monitored him. Despite the foreign environment, he felt a flicker of trust growing between them. You spoke in your sleep again, Sarah said. Words of determination. Names of your people. Thoughts of survival.
You are remarkable. Ellie's lips curved slightly.
I don't remember. I just...
Dream what I cannot control. Maybe my mind is trying to tell me something. Maybe it's reminding me why I fight. Sarah's eyes shone softly.
Your mind, your spirit, it is unique.
Humans possess a courage we cannot fully understand. You survive when all odds are against you. You persist when logic would suggest surrender. That is something extraordinary.
Ellie's heart tightened.
I don't want to surrender. Not now. Not ever. I have to get back. I have to warn them.
I have to survive for everyone who cannot.
The next day, Sarah introduced him to more of the Scifi environment. It was unlike any human medical facility, yet it was precise, efficient, and strangely beautiful. Walls and floors shimmered slightly, responding to movement and sound. Monitors displayed not just vital signs, but subtle changes in light and energy throughout the room. It was as if the entire space was alive, observing and reacting. Eli's curiosity grew, and Sarah noticed it. "You are observant. You notice things others overlook, humans," Eli said slowly. "We notice." We adapt. We survive. He practiced moving more aggressively, testing his endurance. His body still ached, but he could now stand without support and walk several steps. Each success filled him with determination. He would not allow his injuries or this alien environment to limit him. Survival required understanding. Understanding required observation. Observation required patience. He had all of these in abundance. During a quiet moment, Eli asked Sarah, "Do the Scifi understand humans? Do you know why we fight? Why we endure? We observe. We study. We analyze. But understanding your species is difficult. Humans are unpredictable. You act on hope, on courage, on emotion. You survive where logic would fail. That is why you are fascinating to me." Eli nodded. "Then maybe that's why I survived. Not just chance, not just skill, but because I'm human." Sarah's eyes softened. Perhaps. Perhaps it is your nature, your choice, your spirit. You speak of hope, even when facing death. That is rare.
As hours passed, Eli grew stronger, and the bond between him and Sarah deepened.
She observed his determination, his resilience, and his strategic thinking. She began to see humans not as fragile creatures, but as beings of incredible adaptability and strength. At one point, an alert flashed on a distant monitor. Eli's heart raced. Sarah noticed immediately. "It is a patrol near our perimeter," she explained.
They are monitoring, but they do not yet know of your presence.
He realized that while he had recovered somewhat, his freedom was still at risk. He could not remain passive. He had to prepare, to observe, to plan. His human instincts, curiosity, courage, and intelligence demanded it. Sarah continued her work, silent yet attentive. Eli watched her, learning her patterns, her movements, and even the subtle way the room reacted to her presence. He began to formulate plans, imagining scenarios of escape, negotiation, or communication with his fleet. Each thought was careful, deliberate, and precise, reflecting the human ability to adapt and survive. Even in this alien environment, Eli's mind was alert, calculating, and determined. He would not surrender. He would learn. He would survive. And when the time came, he would act, not just for himself, but for all those depending on him. As night fell again, Eli lay back on the soft bed, muscles sore but mind racing. He thought of the humans out there, the battles to come, and the lessons he had learned from the Scifi. Humans were small, fragile, and vulnerable in the vastness of space, but they were also intelligent, resourceful, and unyielding. That combination made them powerful in ways few beings could comprehend. Sarah sat nearby, quietly observing him as he drifted into sleep. She noted his steady breathing, the determination etched into his expression, and the spark of resilience that glimmered in his eyes, even in exhaustion. Eli Grant was a human, and that meant something extraordinary. Even here, even surrounded by aliens, he would survive, and the universe would take notice. Eli awoke to a soft hum that filled the chamber, a constant rhythm that had become almost comforting over the past days. His body was stronger now, muscles more responsive, his senses sharper. Pain still lingered, a reminder of the battle that had brought him here, but it no longer dominated his thoughts. His mind was focused, alert, ready. He knew that survival meant action, and action meant understanding his surroundings. Sarah was already nearby, adjusting the monitors and observing him with quiet attention. She had become a constant presence in his life, and he had come to trust her in a way he had not thought possible. Her calm and curiosity had shown him that not all alien beings were hostile. Some could be allies, even if their thinking was very different from his own. "You are ready," Sarah said softly, her luminous eyes fixed on him. "Your strength has returned faster than anticipated. You move with precision. Your mind is alert. I believe you could attempt limited mobility outside this chamber."
Ellie's heart leapt. The thought of moving beyond these walls, even under observation, was intoxicating.
He had observed the patterns of the Scifi patrols, the timing of shifts, and the subtle ways the room reacted to presence and movement. His mind had been calculating possibilities for days, and now he had the strength to test them. "I want to try," he said, voice firm though cautious. "I need to know what I'm dealing with. I need to be ready." Sarah nodded, stepping aside to allow him space. She moved in a fluid, careful manner, guiding him without touching, letting him feel the freedom to act while still maintaining safety. Eli rose slowly, testing his legs. They shook at first, weak from days of rest, but as he shifted his weight and adjusted his balance, he realized that he could walk steadily. The sense of independence thrilled him, each step a reminder of human adaptability and determination. As he walked, he observed the environment with careful attention. The corridors outside his chamber were unlike anything he had seen before. The walls shimmered faintly, responding to movement. Lights shifted subtly as he passed, guiding his path in a way that was logical yet almost organic. Machines monitored everything: energy flows, environmental changes, even subtle shifts in his own body, but they did not impede his movement. Eli's mind raced with possibilities. He could study the environment, understand its logic, and anticipate patterns. The Scifi were disciplined, precise, and powerful. But they were also rigid. Their predictability was a weakness humans could exploit, and Eli was already thinking several steps ahead. "Careful," Sarah warned softly. "The patrols are near."
"They are monitoring activity. They will notice deviation if it is sudden."
Eli nodded, his focus sharpening. "I will be careful. I can observe and move without drawing attention." He moved slowly, deliberately, observing patterns in the lights, the faint shifts in energy, and the timing of subtle signals. Each observation added to a mental map of the facility, a blueprint that he could use if he needed to act quickly. His human instincts, the same instincts that had helped him survive in space battles and crisis situations, guided him. He learned to anticipate, to adapt, to endure. Hours passed as he explored, moving further from his chamber, yet always aware of Sarah's presence. She did not interfere, allowing him to act with autonomy, though her careful monitoring never ceased. Her fascination with his species grew with every step he took. Humans were unpredictable, courageous, and clever in ways the Scifi did not fully understand. Eli embodied all of these traits. During a brief pause, Eli looked out through a translucent panel that revealed the vastness beyond the facility. Space stretched endlessly, stars shining cold and distant. He thought of Earth, of his crew, and of all those waiting for any sign of warning. He knew that surviving here was not enough. He had to find a way back, to communicate, to act. His mind did not allow idle fear, only calculation, strategy, and hope. Sarah noticed the intensity in his gaze.
You think of your people often,
she said softly. That thought, it drives you. Eli nodded. Humans endure, not just for themselves. We endure for others. That's why we survive.
That's why we fight, even when the odds seem impossible. Sarah tilted her head, intrigued.
Your species, you value connection over mere survival. That is remarkable. Eli smiled faintly, despite the tension. It is not remarkable. It is human. The first real challenge came when a patrol approached. Eli had observed their movements carefully, noting that they moved in predictable intervals, scanning areas with a consistent rhythm. Using that knowledge, he adjusted his own movements, timing each step, each pause, to coincide with their patterns. The corridor was long, and the patrol moved in a sweeping arc. One misstep, and he would be detected. Eli's heart pounded in his chest, but his mind remained calm. He focused on rhythm, observation, and precision. His human ingenuity guided him, allowing him to move undetected even as the patrol's scanner swept close. When the patrol passed, he exhaled silently, a small victory that reminded him why humans could survive even the most controlled environments. As he continued, he found an access chamber with a panel of controls. It was alien, intricate, but he studied the patterns, the logic, behind the arrangement. His human curiosity compelled him to learn, to adapt, to understand. Using his observations and instincts, he manipulated the panel carefully, opening a secondary corridor that offered a safer path deeper into the facility. Sarah observed silently, impressed. You understand, quickly, she said softly. Your mind, it works differently than ours. You see patterns, anticipate outcomes, and adapt.
Humans, you are extraordinary.
Eli nodded, his focus unbroken.
I have to be. There is no other choice.
He moved through the secondary corridor, each step deliberate. His body, strengthened by recovery, responded efficiently. His mind calculated angles, distances, patrol intervals. He began to feel a sense of control, the first taste of agency since he had awoken in the chamber. Survival was no longer passive. It was active, deliberate, and human. Eventually, he reached a section of the facility that appeared to be more strategic in nature. Screens displaying vast areas of space, data about patrols, and maps of the facility itself. Eli studied the information carefully, memorizing details and patterns. He realized that the Scifi, for all their intelligence and discipline, relied heavily on predictable systems. That predictability was his advantage. Humans were unpredictable. Humans adapted. Humans survived. Suddenly, a warning alarm flashed on one screen. Distant, subtle, but enough to signal movement. Eli's heart raced. A patrol had altered its route. He adjusted immediately, retreating into the shadows, relying on human intuition and quick thinking. The patrol passed, unaware of his presence. Every narrow escape reinforced the human trait that had carried him this far. Courage, paired with intelligence. Hours of careful observation and stealth allowed him to map a potential escape route. It was risky, requiring him to move through multiple monitored areas, but he had learned enough to anticipate patrol patterns, bypass key sensors, and rely on improvisation when necessary. Humans were creative, adaptive, and resourceful, traits that the Scifi could not fully predict. Eli paused in a small alcove, catching his breath. He thought of Sarah. She had guided him, trusted him, and allowed him autonomy. He realized that their relationship, built on observation and mutual respect, was unique. In a universe of logic-driven beings, human connections, the ability to trust, to collaborate, to influence, were a form of strength the Scifi had not accounted for. He whispered to himself, a quiet affirmation of human perseverance. I will survive.
I will return. I will warn them.
I will endure, because I am human. With renewed focus, he continued along the planned route. Each step measured, each action deliberate. He bypassed patrols, manipulated doors and panels with precision, and relied on his keen observation to navigate the facility. Every successful maneuver reinforced the theme that humans, though physically limited compared to some alien species, possessed unmatched ingenuity and resilience. Finally, he reached an area that appeared to be the docking bay. Small craft were lined up, ready for deployment, but the bay was monitored and guarded. Eli's mind raced. He needed to create a diversion, something to draw attention away without causing harm. His human intuition suggested a simple, clever solution. A small energy pulse from a nearby control panel could trigger a temporary alert elsewhere, drawing patrols away from the bay. He acted swiftly, executing the plan with precision. The pulse flashed across the system, alarms ringing faintly in distant sections. Patrols diverted, sensors shifted focus, and for a moment, the path to the bay was clear. Eli moved quickly, climbing into one of the smaller craft. He checked systems, adjusting controls based on his observations. The craft responded smoothly, almost intuitively. Humans could not match the Zarathi in raw power, but their adaptability, creativity, and courage allowed them to operate even alien technology with surprising efficiency. As he prepared for departure, he felt a presence behind him. Sarah stood there, silent, watching. Her expression was unreadable, but her eyes reflected admiration. "You are ready," she said softly. "Your species."
You are truly remarkable. I looked at her, gratitude and determination in his eyes.
Thank you for trusting me.
For helping me survive. She nodded once, almost imperceptibly.
Your courage, your mind, your humanity, it is something to respect.
Go. Survive. Return to your people.
With that, Eli initiated the launch sequence. The craft lifted smoothly, moving through the docking bay and into space. His heart pounded, not just from the danger, but from the exhilaration of freedom, of choice, of survival. He had faced near-certain death, adapted to an alien environment, and now he was leaving with knowledge, hope, and purpose. As he navigated the stars, Eli thought of Earth, of his crew, and of all those counting on him. The universe was vast and unforgiving, but humans were resilient, resourceful, and courageous. That was why they endured. That was why they survived. And Ellie Grant, human to his core, had proven that even in the face of the unknown, humanity could adapt, overcome, and triumph. He set course for the human fleet, ready to warn them of the Zarathi patrols, to share what he had learned, and to continue the fight for survival, understanding, and hope. His journey was far from over. But one truth remained clear. Humans, despite their limitations, were extraordinary. They endured. They adapted. They survived. And they would continue to do so, no matter the odds.